Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at how we can document our API. We've implemented most of the functionality that we need, and now we need a way for front-end developers to be able to use our API easily. So right now, let me open my browser. So we have a tool called DRF-Yasg, or yet another Swagger generator, that helps us to easily document our API depending on our serializers. So it automatically generates the OpenAPI specifications for our API. So let's look into how we can set it up. So the first thing we're going to do is to install it. So just like you can see here, we can be able to generate our documentation with Redoc as well as Swagger UI. So let's go ahead and install it. So the first thing we're going to do is to install it. So I'll copy this command, head over to VS Code, and then right in my virtual environment, I'll be able to install and set it up. So the first thing is going to be to install it, and then go in our installed apps, then we'll be able to add our DRF-Yasg. Now we're also told that we need django.contrib.static files, and this is because it enables us to serve our static files, because this Swagger UI is going to be in static JavaScript and CSS. So let's actually see. So our virtual environment is open. So you're going to paste the command. It's going to go ahead and install DRF-Yasg within our virtual environment. So the next thing we shall do is to add our DRF-Yasg to our installed apps. So to do that, what I'm going to do is to come right here, and I'll go to our pizza project within our settings.py, and what I'll do is to basically go ahead and add DRF-Yasg to our installed app. So I'll go ahead and add DRF-Yasg, and then the next thing I'll do is to also check if you have django.contrib.static files installed. Now we have it, so we are good to go. Now hoping that this is installing. It's actually installing. So the next thing we shall do is to go in our root urls.py within our project and then add the following code. So what I'm going to do is to paste this code, to copy this code, and then paste it within our project level urls.py. So I'll go to pizza URLs, and then within pizza URLs, I'm going to add this code. So I'll come and add this code. So I'm going to edit it to reach our needs, to be able to solve our need. So right now our DRF-Yasg is installed. I'll go ahead and pip freeze it to our requirements.txt. So I'm going to say pip freeze to our requirements.txt. So this is going to freeze all these requirements for the DRF-Yasg to our requirements.txt. Now while that is happening, we are going to go ahead and set this up. So right here we have our schema view, which is basically going to describe how we're going to document our API. So right now we have the info, such as the title, the default version, the description, the terms of service, the email of the contact, and the license we are using. So we're going to be able to edit all this. We also have a list of URL patterns that we're going to add on to our root URL patterns. Remember that according to our documentation, we have our Swagger UI on the /docs endpoint. So we're going to also look into how to be able to add it to our we're going to our application. So I'm going to go to our settings.py and hoping that everything is fine. So right now our requirement has been added to our requirements.txt. So I'll save this, and when I save this, then I'm going to go ahead and add these URL patterns to our root URL pattern. So I'll copy them, actually cut them. I'm going to remove this URL patterns list and then go ahead and edit this. So I'm going to edit our Swagger UI. So right now we have something like this. So we have these URLs in regex, but we can be able to change them so that they match our needs. So the first thing I'm going to do is to change this to path. So I'm going to change this to path. I'm going to change this to path, as well as for the second URL pattern and then the third URL pattern. And then I'll go ahead and also remove this regex so that we have URLs. So I'm going to basically change this. So it's going to be in the Swagger UI endpoint, so I'm going to have the Swagger UI and then the Redoc. So instead of having Swagger UI, what I'm going to do is call this the /docs endpoint, and then we're also going to change this. So I'm going to come right here and change this. So I'm going to change and remove these. So I'm going to remove these regex. And right now, hoping that everything is fine, what I'm going to do is to be able to just run our URL. So I'm just going to come right here, run our server python manage.py, run server. This is going to run our server, our development server. And now we don't have any issues, so I'm going to go to our localhost 8000. So I'm going to go to Chrome, and when I go to localhost 8000, so this is going to be localhost 8000 /docs. We now see our Swagger UI is being shown to us. So now it's loading. So right now we can be able to see, to visualize all the endpoints we've created. So we can also define our security schemes, or how we are going to carry out our authentication or our Swagger UI. So we're going to head over to the documentation of that, which is in the describing authentication schemes list of options. So right here, what we can do, we can go ahead and describe how we are going to authenticate our users on our Swagger UI, or our front-end developers, or how our front-end developers will access protected endpoints on our API using the Swagger UI. So right now you see that the first step we have to do is to add the security definition settings, so that we declare all authentication schemes supported by our API. So we're going to form this dictionary, and then we describe our authentication schemes. So right now, what I'm going to do is to just copy this. So as long as you have DRF installed, we can be able to set this up. So we need to go to our settings.py, and then within our settings.py, I'm simply going to paste this. So we're just going to come here, and what I'll do is to paste this in. So I'm going to close our terminal for now. So right now we see our security base definition. So we have basic, and then the type is going to be basic. So as you're using bearer authentication authorization header, then you can specify that you need an API key, and it's going to be in our authorization header. So if I save this, hoping that our server is running and we don't have any errors. So right now we don't have any issues. So when I go to our snippets API right here, the refresh, right now we can see the authorize button here. So when I try to click on the authorization button, we now see that we have something like this. So what we can actually do is to also remove this basic authorization. Alright, so now we have our basic authorization as well as our bearer authentication. So we're going to see how we remove the basic authorization. So what I'll do is to go to our settings.py, and then what I'll do is to change our Swagger settings. Why did you put that? It's here. So what I'm going to do is to just remove that basic authorization, so that we remain with our bearer authorization. Then the next thing I'll do is to go ahead and simply refresh. And when I refresh, right now if I say authorize, we now see bearer and then the API key. So let's try it out. So what I'm going to do is to come, and what I'll do is to go and create a JWT. So I'll try to create a JWT and try it out. So I'll provide an email. So our email is going to be admin@app.com, and then I'm also going to provide our password. Our password is going to be our password. So when I create this, right now we see actually I provided the wrong password. So let me provide the password as password123. When I execute, right now we see our access token. So I'm going to copy the access token, and then I'm going to include it within our authorize. So I'll say bearer and then the access token. So when I authorize, right now we can access the protected routes on our UI. So I'll do, let's say I wanted to get a specific order. So if I go to orders/ID, so I'll get it. So I'm going to go and try it out and provide the ID. So let's say I want to access the order with ID of When I execute, right now we can be able to see the order with the ID of 3. So let's actually try to create one. So when I come to the create order, so I can come right here and go to the one for creating orders. So when I try this out, I'll provide the size as, let's say, large, and then I can also go ahead and specify the quantity. So let's say I want 3 large pizzas. And when I execute, right now this can be able to work, so we can be able to create an order. So let's say we wanted to try it out and see if our protected routes are really protected. What I'll do is to just come to our authorized area and then log out. So when I log out, when you try to create an order again, so I'll go to the order. So now we still have our field. So when I try to submit this, we now see that authentication credentials were not provided. Now let's also see how we can be able to customize our documentation. So right in here, we have the different things within our urls.py that are specific to our API. So we can change this to, let's say, pizza delivery API. So we're going to change this to pizza delivery API. Then we shall give our description. So our description is going to be pizza delivery API. Actually, what we can do is to say a REST API for pizza delivery service. Right after doing this, we can remove these terms of condition and maybe add our admin. So let's say I wanted to add our admin, so I can add the admin at app.com. So I can say admin at app.com, and then we can also remove this license. So when I refresh, when I come right here and I refresh, right now we can be able to see our documentation has changed, and now we can actually call this pizza. So this can be for a pizza delivery service. So when I refresh, and right now we see that our documentation has been customized. So you can as well as go ahead and set up and be able to give a simple description of how these routes work. So we need to make use of a utility called the DRF-Yasg. So we're going to import this and see how we can use it. So what I'm going to do is to come and right in here, I'm going to go to our specific URLs, our specific route. So I'm going to first go to the authentication views. And the first thing I'm going to do is to document this user create view. So what I'll do is to come right in here and say from DRF-Yasg .utils, we are going to import our Swagger auto schema. What this is going to do, it's going to help us to basically go ahead and describe which operation each view function does. So I'll go and decorate a view function for signing up. So I'll say at Swagger auto schema, and then basically provide an operation summary. So this is going to basically summarize how this is going to work. So I can say that our operation summary is going to be create a user account. So when I save this and hoping that our server is running, so when I go to our Swagger UI and refresh, right now we see that our URL has been documented. So right now I can do the same thing. So I can copy this, and what I'll do is to also put this here. So I can simply say that this is going to be hello auth, and when I save, right now if I refresh, you can see that our URL has been documented. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for our other URLs. So I'll go to our other URLs right in here, and I'll go to the views.py, and then within views.py, I'm going to go ahead and document every view. So I'm going to say from DRF-Yasg.utils, I'm going to import the Swagger auto schema. So this is going to be our Swagger auto schema. Then what I'll do is to come, so I'll first decorate this. So I'm going to paste this in, and the first thing I'm going to do is this is going to be our hello. So I'm going to just say hello, orders, and then I'll do the same thing for these other ones. So this is for getting all orders. So actually I'm going to just paste this in. So I'll just come and say this is going to list all orders. This is going to be list all orders made. So when I come right here, I can be able to basically provide the same here. So I'll paste this in, and this is now going to be create a new order. So I'll say create a new order. So I'll come and do the same thing for these ones. So here we're going to get the detail of an order. So I'll paste this in. So this is going to be get an order detail or retrieve an order. So I can say retrieve an order, and then here what we can have is, actually I'm going to make this tidy, so I'll do the same thing here. So this is going to be for updating an order, so I'll paste, and this is going to be updating an order. So I'll say update an order by ID. So I'll do the same thing here. So I'll say retrieve by ID, and then I'll go ahead and also do the same thing for deleting. So I'll paste this in, and then I'll say remove an order. So I'll say remove / delete. So this is going to be remove or delete an order. So this is going to be remove / delete an order. And then after doing this, then the next thing I'm going to do is to do the same thing for updating an order status. So we're going to also copy this. So right here, I'm going to update an order status. So update is going to be update an order status. So we're going to say update an order status. And then I'll do the same thing for our getting a user specific order. So right here, I'll say what we're going to have is get a user's order. Actually, I'll say get all orders for a user. So let's say I want to also do the same thing for that specific user. So I'll say get a user specific order. So I'll say this is going to be get a user's specific order. So when I save, and hoping the our server is running and you don't have any errors, no issues found. So when I go to our Chrome and I refresh, we can now see that most of our URLs have been documented. So let's go ahead and try to actually access the protected endpoint. So for example, if I go to the /auth/create, so we have these already documented for us. They take in a set of user credentials. So when I try this out, I'm going to provide our email. So the email is going to be admin@app.com, and then let's say we provide our password. So our password is going to be password123, and when I refresh, when I save this, we get our access token. So when you try to also access protected endpoints such as this one, so I haven't provided the token. So right here I can say we want large, and then we want, let's say, 10. So when I make this, right now we see that our Swagger UI has been protected. So in this video, we've been able to look at how we can document our Swagger UI so as to make it easy for front-end developers to use our API. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please go ahead and leave a like. Don't forget to comment and tell me what you feel about this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.